Would you like to know what country or address your ManyChat subscriber is at? Well, I'm going to show you that, and I'm going to show you that now. All right, let's get started here. And don't want to be there. Dashboard. What we're going to do is I'm going to show you how you can take a ManyChat subscriber's location, pass it to a server API, which calls a Google API, to get geocoding on what country they're in and the address they're at. Works really slick on phones and actually within Facebook Messenger, within Facebook, it gets your exact location. So I'm sitting here and I actually did it within Facebook last night and it got my home address. Boom. Within messenger.com, it seems to not have the location exactly for some reason. A phone is right smack on. Wherever they're standing, you're going to get that. So it's pretty cool. So what we're going to do is we're going to ManyChat. We're going to go into where so you live. Where do you live? Where so you live. That's good English, Jeff. Anyway, I got two parts here. We're going to talk about the one that you're going to use. Basically, what you're going to do is you're going to create a flow. Why don't we do this? I'm just going to create a message. Just going to grab that one. I'm just going to how to build this. You're going to take that message out of there. You're going to get a user input field and you're going to get a dynamic content block. And that's what I have over here. In this, you're going to say, tap button below to give us your location. What you're going to do is you're going to make this a location reply type, and you're going to grab a text field. I have a CS location, and there we go. Now I'm going to ask the user for their location, and it's going to get stored in C location. Next, you're going to set up your dynamic content block. What I'm going to do is go into the one that I already have. So here's the question. Basically, like I said, use a location request type, and then it's going to be saved in CS location. Now the dynamic content block is going to call a server program. And I'm just going to close that. A server program called dynamic cobweb.glitch.me. I used glitch.com. It's free. You can use any other server if you have your own server or you have another service that you use, put it on that server. And then we're going to pass a query variable, location. As I showed you, we're storing the location there. We're going to pass that to this API endpoint to process it. So let's go over to glitch.com. And here I have my projects that I already have. I think this one I really don't want anymore. Just going to delete this one, delete this. There we go. So I'm going to go into the one I have, convert longitude, latitude to address. I'm going to edit my project. I'm going to go here. So here's the project, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through. So what I want you to do, if you haven't used glitch.com, sign up, and then you go through the process of creating a new project right here. Click on new project. I actually just added that button. I didn't have that button up there. You used to have to do it through a project. Click new project once you sign in. And then you get started that way. And I'm going to do that right now. I was going to do it this way, but I'll do it this way. New project. You're going to pick a Hello Express. We're not going to be doing SQLite database right now. We're not doing a web page. It's a Hello Express. Going to churn a little bit to load the Express packages. And there you are. So what you're going to end up with is this is what your project's going to look like now. Your project's going to look a little different with more code. Basically, we're going to add this endpoint in here. And then there's one statement up here that we're going to add. So in here, you can also see that first off, what you want to do is you need to get request and request promise into the project. Those are going to be used right here to actually send a request out and you get a promise of a response back from Google right here, GEOcoding API. So what you're going to do is you can see Express here. And if you go into my package for this project, I have request and promise, request promise. You need to add these in there. So now you have 3 dependencies. What they are, they're packages. They're code that's written by somebody else that you're going to bring in to use to make your coding easier. Bottom line. So you're going to bring those in. They used to, some of it, request used to be part of Express, and I don't know, they must have separated it out. So anyway, just put those in there. And then you're going to go back to server.js. And we're going to go back to that here. And one of the statements you're going to put is you're going to do a construct. Basically, it's a variable construct. It's a constant because you're not going to change this. Constant called request promise equals require request promise. What that is instant. It's making an instant of that package so that now you can use it within your program. So you need that statement in there, and that's one of the statements that we don't have. You're going to put that in there. And then you're going to create this endpoint, this function of getAddress. So you're going to do an app.get /getAddress function request response. So this is the entry point, and then eventually a response, an exit, to the request that we are doing right here. So now right here, we're going to construct the options that the request promise is going to use to send the request to the Google API. So here's the Google API, GEOcoding that we're going to use. Then you're going to pass some query variables. And one is the longitude, latitude, the request.query.location. It's a query string that we're passing, and that's right here. And you have to have this name. Location is the key to accessing that data. So request is coming in through here on this function, and that's our request that we're sending them. .query, so that knows, hey, this came in on the URL. .location, look for this. So that's got to match. So now we're going to substitute that in there. So now we're passing that to Google Maps or Google GEOcoding so that we can get the country and the address. Then we have another parameter, sensor equals true or false. Just leave that. Not sure what it does. It's something that they said, hey, you should include this. I'm like, okay, fine, I'll do that. And then you have your key. You need to get an API key from Google. So type in Google GEOcoding API and Google search, and it'll take you there. You apply, you get your key. And then what you're going to do is I'm not going to open up this file on my project because then you'll see my key. But what you're going to do is you want to have an entry like this, G_API key. What you're going to do is you're going to put something like that in here, and then you're going to put your key in there, and you're going to close it out with another single quote. And there's your key. And to access that key, you do process.env, that's your file here, .g_API_key. And that's what you just defined here. So that's how it gets it. So now that we have our request options put together, we're going to do our request promise, our GET, to that API. And the response from the Google API is going to be in the variable data. So our data is going to come back to us. Then what we're going to do is I'm going to take that data and I'm going to go get the country. And I've set up another function within my server API, get country, that I'm going to run through this data to find the country name. And I'll explain that right now, what happens. And this happens with most APIs. They're going to send you a shitload of data back. And what I did there is I have a lot of console.log will put it, when you run this, it will put it in here. So you get to see what's going on. So you can debug your program and look at country and certain entities. And so that's what I'm doing. And actually I could do that. We could do that. I could just open that up, open this up. You can see the query string coming in when we run this, and I'll show you that. The other thing that I've done is, actually, if I close that off, this is our response that's going back to ManyChat. And this is the data, the JSON data that you have to send back. And what I do is I open up another response.json and pass me the data. Because what I want to do is I want to look at it, because I have to dig deep into this JSON to get the country and the address. So let's just run this. I'm just going to run this right here in this, just test a request. So I'm not totally running it, but I'm kind of running it. And I get a 200 OK. So it did call the API and was successful. It just is telling me it can't process the data. And that's because I'm sending raw JSON back, not the JSON ManyChat understands. So you're going to get that error, which is fine. It's fine. But what I want is, here it is, data. So what I did is I just passed all this response data that I got from Google API into ManyChat so I can look at it. And I'm going to grab all this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab all of it. And it's a lot of data. A lot of data, and we only want like 2 pieces of it. So what you're going to do is grab all this data, and we're going to use JSONblob.com to interpret the JSON that's coming back. So I already have JSONblob.com here. And why don't we do this? So I'm just going to open up a new one. I use this tool all the time. It's free. It's slick. It's really quick. So I'm pasting that I just copied in, and then I'm going to go like that to organize it. So now we can kind of see what this data looks like. It's like, oh, results, that, address components. So you can see here on the left, you have address components. So you have a street number, you have a route, you have a, locality, and it's the name of the city, the name of the county, the name of the state, country. There we go. We want to get the country here. And then down here, we have the formatted address. So we want to get all that information out. It's like, well, how do I get to this? Couldn't I just say data.results.0, which is the occurrence, address components, and open up these address components and always pick, I think it's number 5, the USA. Well, I was thinking, well, yeah, sure, you could hard code it and grab it there every time. The thing is, there's another country, here's France, that I was testing. Their country is in number 4 occurrence. So you can't hard code it. You have to spin through this data, this array, and find it. That's what this function does down here, is to get. So what we're doing here is to get the country, say, perform this function, which I got defined down here, and pass data.results, 0 occurrence, address components. So what I'm passing them is all this to go through to find the one that says country and political. And if you look down through, country and political. Once we find that, then we could take the long name from that area and we know that we got the country. Whereas like in France, it's going to be number 4, where we're going to get number 4 right here is the long name France and country and political. So you have to run through this code to find it, and then it returns it back and puts it into this variable country. So that's what I do with this. I'm going to close this off so I don't get that anymore. Actually, if we look at the logs, no, because I didn't pass it in there, because I errored out. The log, it should log the country and stuff. And so if we go back here, I'm just going to, so did I fix that? So I fixed that. So now it should send the right stuff. And so I'm just going to do a test here, quick again. So it's a valid response. So now we sent JSON back to ManyChat that it understands. And if we go into the log, there it is, United States. And there's the, so what I did is console.log will log stuff in the application log so that you can debug things and see what's going on. So I could see that this worked. It grabbed the country, it ran that function, got the country and put it in there. Same thing here. Here's our query string that we're passing from here. And I referenced it. I'm like, oh, okay, that looks good too. So those are things that you can do. And it's just to debug what's going on in your program. Now we're all set. And now we could run it. And so if I go back to here, and I'm going to do save. And I don't need this one. That was the one I was just showing you. And so we're going to run this one. I'm going to publish this. And then we're going to preview. I'm going to run that here. Move me over here. And there we are. Okay, so now I'm going to run the one. Let's see. I have 2 of them. This one is going to ask for my location. So let's do that. I'm going to send my location. It's going to come up with a map. Now, see, I'm running in messenger.com, and it's saying I live in Menominee Falls. Actually, I live over here in this area, in Germantown, not in Menominee Falls. So it's weird because messenger.com does this, but if you do it on, I'll show you. I'll just send a location. So it's going to send a location. It just says, hey, you live in the United States, located in Appleton Avenue in Menominee Falls. Great. But if I run it in Facebook, and I have a keyword set up, so we should be able to run this again. Live or live. So now I'll run it. I'm running it inside Facebook. And see, now this does find where I live. This is where I actually live. So that's going to run, and there we go. So it's weird. In here, it doesn't work exactly, but in Messenger in Facebook, it works great. And on the phone, it works awesome too. So now we got the country and the state. Now what I'm going to do is we're going to test. I got something else. I'm going to move the starting point over here because what I did is I grabbed some longitude latitudes of other areas in different countries to test this. So now I'm going to preview that, and I just put them in quick replies. I don't know what I'm doing here. Oh, I should have just stayed there. So now if I click on this one, it says, hey, cool, you live in France. And here it was the longitude latitude of Hotel de Ville in France. If I wanted to live, keyword, I could do it again. And this one, believe I live in Germany. So that's a Germany address. And if I want to do one more time, and actually if I go into audience, adjusted to me to Germany. There we go. I'm in the country Germany. So you can then broadcast to people in different countries if you get something going on. So it's pretty cool that way that you can use it for that. And then if I did one more time, if I click this one, it goes back to the United States, I believe, in Germantown. There you go. So that is getting a location, a ManyChat subscriber location, using the dynamic content to call an API to get their location, their country, and their address. I'll hopefully find some useful tips for this. It definitely is along the same lines of what you would do is for geofencing. Say you want to find somebody, let's say you have locations. Your chiropractic company has 12 locations in a metro area, and you want to see how close they are to which one. You could use that as get their location and then use geofencing to find, based on those 12 locations, which one's closer, and then tell them, show them which ones and how far they are. So you definitely could do that. Take a lot more coding and probably a different API where you can define the fence, basically the area and where the locations are. That would be awesome to do some kind of project like that, but like I said, it would take a lot more, and it's a lot more than I could do here in the video. Now, hopefully this helps. It's a great feature. The APIs in ManyChat are just allowing the external APIs to come in. We can bring in so much cool data that you can't do with Zapier. And you can actually format it in a lot of different ways. You can use the galleries and all that stuff. So pretty cool. Well, that concludes our video for today on getting a country and or address of a ManyChat subscriber by using their current location. We called a couple APIs, a server API and the Google API, to get that information and bring it back into ManyChat and update a custom ManyChat custom field with the country. If you have any questions or comments, please post them down below. Happy to answer them. As always, like the video, share it across the world, and subscribe to my YouTube channel so you don't miss out on any future videos. Down in the description, I do have a link to a great course, ManyChat Toolbox. It'll teach you all about JSON API and the ManyChat Dynamic Content block and how it can be used to call these external APIs. Check it out. As always, have a great week, and I'll see you in the next video.